Hey guys, welcome back for another video. What we're going to be doing is we'll be reviewing, recapping, and giving our overall team grade on the performance we saw from the 24-25 Oregon Ducks football team. This team came into the season with massive promise, high hopes. Let's call it what it is. A lot of those things they achieved. This was a great season, one of the best modern seasons we've seen from the Oregon Ducks. Yes, they did not make the national championship, but they were impressive from the start to the end of the season. They had a very bad hand dealt to them to end it with the way that the playoffs were seeded, but still, really great season. But how did they do versus the expectations that they came into this season? Let's go ahead and break that down. First things first, though, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, if you agree, disagree, please drop every comment below and I will respond to everyone. Since the year started, we've gone over every single college football game, preseason, all the way through the national championship, broke them all down, and, props to the Ohio State Buckeyes. They are now the national champions. We also do the same thing for every NFL game. We are doing that all the way up to the Super Bowl, and we'll also be picking up football during the offseason. Transfer portal, recruiting, there's a lot that's going to be going on. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. So when the season started, Oregon was stacked. They came into this season with the number 5 overall roster according to ESPN blue chip wise. This team was stacked. 4 stars, 5 stars up and down the field. One of the best offensively talented Oregon teams that we've seen since the 14 Marcus Mariota team. They had Dillon Gabriel transfer over. This guy was playing his 10th to 11th year of college football practically. He has an entire family at this point. He was transferring over, potentially competing to be the leading passer in Division I college football season. He had a lot of accolades coming with him. Experienced veteran quarterback. You added to the pieces they pillaged through the transfer portal. This team was loaded. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, weapons up and down the field. And they also had a really good defensive roster that they were building back. Dan Lanning, props to him for the way he worked the portal, the way he worked recruiting. They're bringing in top 5 portal classes. They're bringing in top 5 recruiting classes. That's why this roster was loaded. That's why there was very high expectations. Don't forget, they also left the dissolved Pac-12. They transferred over to the Big Ten. A lot of people in Big Ten country saying the Ducks can't compete with the physicality of the Big Ten. We rule these games in the trenches. And I said to them, have you ever watched the Oregon Duck team? Basically, since Mario Cristobal was here, the emphasis from Mario, the emphasis from Dan Lanning has been build the trenches. This team is deep at the line of scrimmage in the trenches. I said they are going to be able to compete with those Big Ten teams, the Buckeyes, the Michigans, the Penn States at the line of scrimmage. You're not going to bulldoze this team around. This isn't the Chip Kelly teams from 2009, 2010. They have the big boys. They have the bodies on the line. That's why there was national championship hopes coming into the season. But did they live up to those expectations outside of winning the national championship? Did they live up to it? They came into this season, they were 10.5 win favorites by Vegas. Obviously, this team finished this season 13-1, so they definitely lived up to the expectations. I did pick them to finish the regular season 11-1, so I went with the over. They did go over because they finished the regular season undefeated, the only undefeated team through the regular season in all of Division I football. That's massive there. You have to give props to this team. Obviously, they overachieved. They were the only team to actually achieve that throughout the entire season. Looking at the playmakers here, you have Dillon Gabriel just under 3,900 yards passing, 30 touchdowns, 6 picks, 72.9 completion percentage. They started out the season really slow, first 1 to 2 weeks. Then the offense started to get going. Don't forget, new quarterback, new scheme. Once everything got gelled, once everyone got comfortable within the scheme, they weren't lighting it up like the Marcus Mariota team, scoring 45, 47 points a game, but they were scoring enough, and their defense was keeping them in all those close games till the offense got gelled. Once that offense got rolling, it was pretty hard to beat them. Looking at the running back room, they were going to be led by James, had a great season at the running back position, 1,267 yards. He had 15 rushing touchdowns. Whittington, Gabriel also added 7 touchdowns on the ground. At the wide receiver position, receivers, they were stacked. Johnson, Holden, Stewart, Ferguson at tight end, weapons everywhere. up and down the team. Teams were afraid to play the team. The amount of weapons that they could spread it out to, adding with the running back room. When you can run the ball the way that they could run the ball, that also opens up the play action passing. This team was so multiple. They were fast paced. They could slow it down. They could power run on you. Looking overall at the team stats here, that's really when you get to see just how talented this team was overall. They finished the season with a top 15 offense in the nation, 36.9 points per game, 516 overall points. That is top 10 in the nation. Passing offense, they were averaging 279.5 passing yards per game, 157.9 rushing yards per game. They could beat you through the air. They can beat you on the ground. They could control time of possession. For the offense, they averaged 437.4 points per game. Very talented team, and they can also do a lot on the defensive side as well. They ranked overall in the nation number 16. They were only giving up 19.4 points per game. Top 15 offense, top 20 defense. Very well-rounded team. They finished the regular season number 1. That has to account for something. You have to give props to Dan Lanning. You have to give props to his coaching staff overall as a whole. Looking at the games, they came in, like I was mentioning earlier, very sluggish, very slow start to the season. They played Idaho. That was an awful game. A lot of people were saying Oregon was going to fall off this season. They went 24-14. They win that game. Then they play Boise State. Boise State, the best running back in the nation, Ashton Gentry. They beat him. A very close game, though. They win it 37-34. People are starting to panic. I said when that happened, no one panic. I picked them to go 11-1. They're going to turn things on. They're going to get the offense going. The defense has been consistent throughout the season. They beat Oregon State 49-14. You are starting to see the offense starting to gel. Then they beat UCLA. It's not much to say there. They beat them 34-13. They beat Michigan State 31-10. They're showing now we can come to the Big Ten. We can compete with the big boys. Then the big game, one of the best games of the season. Dan Lanning outsmarts Ryan Day. They win that game in Eugene. They're 6-0. They win it 32-31. That was an awesome game. That's when Oregon led everyone. They put the entire nation on notice. We don't care who you are. We're going to line up. We're going to beat you. Purdue, they shut them out 31-0, 7-0. Then they beat number 20 Illinois 38-9. They beat Michigan, big, tough line of scrimmage, run downhill, I formation Michigan. They outmuscle them. They win that one 38-9. Then they beat Maryland 39-18. They beat Wisconsin 16-13. Washington 49-21. They finish. They go to the Big Ten Championship. They have a shootout with Penn State, who made the Final Four. They beat Penn State 45-17. Their first year in the Big Ten, they win the Big Ten, finish the regular season and the conference championship 13-0 going into the playoffs. They are the unanimous number 1. So that lets you know that I have to give this team a high grade. They performed so well. I said they'd go 11-1. They went 12-0 regular season, won the Big Ten. I did pick them to win the Big Ten, but I picked them to finish with the Big Ten championship 12-1. They went 13-0. They overperformed Vegas. They overperformed me, and I was giving them a lot of credit in the preseason. They won the Big Ten first season, so that's at least going to get them at least an A- first year in the Big Ten. Win the Big Ten, beat Penn State, beat Michigan, beat Ohio State. You beat all the big teams in the Big Ten, completely dominated the conference. You're at least an A- right now going into the playoffs. With the dumb, awful seeding that college football has in the playoffs, they need to reseed after those bye weeks. Unfortunately for them, Oregon has like a whole month off. They don't play football. They're rusty. And then they have to play the hottest team in the nation who they've already beaten. It's hard to beat a good team twice. They have to play the Ohio State Buckeyes. Obviously, they lose that game 41-21. They are out of the playoffs just like that. They did not get a chance to make the national championship. This was a team, a lot of people when the season ended, they were picking them as the favorite to win the national championship. If they made the national championship, if you win the national championship, you automatically get an A+ because you finished the season number 1. There's no place higher to go than 1, so I have to give you an A+ because I can't compare you to anyone else. Because they didn't get there, that's going to drop them down from that A+. But hey, you won the Big Ten. You only lost once. You went 13-1. I can't give you a B+. That's not reasonable. So I gave this team an A. What kept them above an A- was they won the Big Ten. You got to give them an A. They beat all the big teams, all the tough teams, all the blue bloods in the Big Ten. That kept them over an A-, moved them up to A, but they didn't get the A+ because they didn't win the national championship. But overall, this was the best team all the way up to when the playoffs started in the nation. The unanimous #1 team in the nation. That's got to get you an A, guys. No matter what, the foundation has been set. The Big Ten's on notice. Yes, Ohio State won the national championship, but they didn't win the Big Ten. The new team to the conference won it. The entire nation knows you got to take Oregon serious. If they were not before, that's stupid on their part, but they definitely know you now because Dan Lanning's beating you in the recruiting trail at the house. He's beating you in the transfer portal. He's beating you in the trenches. He's beating you in the Big Ten championship. The entire nation's looking at Oregon right now. They see that Nike money. They are taking this team serious. This team has a strong foundation set. Dan Lanning, you're going to get your chance at the national championship. Do not worry, Oregon fans. It is coming. At some point, you're going to get it. This is only going to make it sweeter. Guys, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, agree or disagree, drop it below, and I will respond. Thank you.